So I just felt like that gave a tremendous verisimilitude to the costumes. Like the fact that people were dressing like they would have actually dressed in the truest sense of the word, and I thought that was remarkable.
Thank you.
And Wendy, real talk, I actually had written down during the family mass scene, how many blazers do you think were in that scene alone?
Oh, yes.
And the dining hall.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. 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 We took a long time to set up that scene, too. I mean, Alexander got quite particular about things, but it works. I mean, yeah. I love that pan across the professors.
And then add on trying to find 150 boys with the right hair.
Yes. Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
God, I didn't even think of that, which is surprising. And Mark, I'd love to talk to you about blending this amazing score and making it feel very Christmassy and using Christmas elements. Just talk about blending the two of those together.
Yeah, I think, well, in terms of overall blending, I think my first job was really to make sure that nothing I was doing would betray the 1971 feel of it or 1970 feel of it. That for me ended up in some places that I don't get to explore much in scoring. I'm more doing sort of orchestral stuff or Americana leaning stuff, but about a third of the score is really coming from like a band place, like a band that would be playing in that time period, which for me is super fun. I just, I have the instruments from that era. They're the ones that musicians like me collect. Old guitars from early 70s, late 60s, amplifiers too, and I really got to stretch out and do that stuff and to kind of blend in with this fantastic, source score that's in there, things like the Allman Brothers or Cat Stevens or Badfinger. So that was super fun for me. And then on the other hand, I was also, of course, referencing some Christmas. I upped my collection from 2 to something like 25 different sleigh bells. And they do find their way in here and there. And it was fun to get at that. I haven't done any kind of holiday themed movie, and my band never made it long enough to do a Christmas album. So yeah, I got to explore that too.
It brought on the warm fuzzies, so look into that. Look into holiday scores, sir.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
And Kevin, I wanted to talk to you about all of these really elegant crossfades and how this movie really evoked a feel of the time as well. What were the challenges in bringing that to life as far as editing goes?
Well, people have asked a similar question before, and I think we just did what we normally do, which is really let performances drive our decisions as far as the cutting goes and stuff like that. Although we did do, we always use dissolves, we love them, and we probably have a few more than we normally do. But we've done it before too, though, because I just watched something from Nebraska where we did a really long dissolve as, like I'm thinking when Paul is yelling at the kids in the beginning and it dissolves in the hallway. We've done that before. So we really approach the film, I would say, editorially, how we always do, and just let our performances drive us on our decision making and stuff like that. But yeah, we use some dissolves.
I would just say we're about the same age, and our film language in the previous films is kind of the same transitional techniques we use. It's just that perhaps they stand out more in this one because it's purposely, it has the parlor trick of trying to appear like it's from the 70s. But our film grammar, I think, is basically, we've been making 70s movies the whole time.
That's what I was going to say that too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that certainly makes sense when you talk about things like how character-driven they all are, and also how deeply emotional. We don't always get like a tied up in a bow happy moment with the characters, and all the movies end up feeling very real. So David, let's go to you and talk about creating this. So this is set in a boys' school, and did you ever feel that this would, while you were writing it, I understand it was originally a piece for television, right?
It was actually, I wrote a pilot called Stonehaven. It was based upon my personal experience of going to this day school for 6 years, this private school for 6 years. And Alexander, I was blessed that Alexander found it, read it, dug it, and approached me not to make that, but to sort of dwell in that world again and write a screenplay for him. So the origin story of the collaboration comes from the pilot, but the film is a separate, independent, freestanding creation. I will say, though, that a lot of the kind of emotional core of the film and the character dynamics definitely were kind of lifted from my pilot, which lifted from my life. So, that's kind of that's the origin story of the film, of the screenplay.
And since in the movie, one of the themes that I really attached to consistently was you truly don't know what anyone else is going through.
Exactly.
And not assuming is really the way to go. And so I had read that you were a fan of Alexander's.
Colossal fan.
So let's just pretend for a second that he's not sitting right next to you. And can you share with us something about working with him that you hadn't anticipated, or maybe a way that you thought it was going to go?
I could talk about this all day. I mean, honestly, it's his kindness first and foremost. He's a kind man. You're a kind man. Have I told you that lately?
People take advantage of me.
It's true. There's a politeness in the way he's dressed right now is often the way he'd appear on set next to camera. It is the most. And I wrote television. Been writing television for 27 years. I've never been on a set with less, and I mean this, behind the camera, not in front of the camera, less drama. Like there's a collegiality, a congeniality. I love and respect his work. I think he's got this encyclopedic knowledge of cinema, and that was amazing to encounter and to work with. But I think the thing that struck me first and foremost was the fact that I just liked hanging out with the guy. I liked being on set with the guy. I didn't want the day to wrap. I've run TV shows where I'm like, I can't wait to get off this set, and it's like I would be on that set and I go, can you bring a sleeping bag? Because I just want to stretch out right here at the foot of the dolly and sleep here. Because it was just a very warm and welcoming environment. And I think that's actually reflected in the final film. I think that the energy, much like Ryan was talking about opening a drawer and seeing something in there that may never actually be encountered by the character, there's a fundamental vibe on an Alexander Payne set that's a cool and welcoming vibe, and I think it translates into the material. So yeah, working with him was a dream come true, and continues to be.
Go on.
He also, you guys at home can't tell this, but he smells very good. He smells like baked apples, and like baked apples, as Oliver would say, and cinnamon.
Cinnamon, yeah.
It's true. I wish I could bottle it. It's fantastic.
That does not disappoint. Love it. So Alexander, let's talk about the magic of this cast, and beginning with Paul Giamatti, of course. What about Paul's interaction and understanding of this character really surprised you when seeing him bring it to life?
First, I want to say we're doing this press conference on Tuesday, October 24th, and we still don't have the actors with us. And that's been really heartbreaking to us all, that we haven't been able to share this experience, these screenings, and even the enthusiasm, the lovely enthusiasm of someone like you and the questions you're posing to us, that we can't share it with them. And irony of ironies, for example, last night we had a screening here in Los Angeles, and a good friend of mine was dropped off at the screening, ironically, by whom? By Divine.
Really?
Yes, this friend had a meeting with Divine. Divine goes in her sweats like, well, I'll give you a ride to that thing. And couldn't come in.
So hard.
What the heck?
So hard.
So I just want to kind of get that off my chest. Now, what did you say about Paul Giamatti? Which one did he play?
Maybe you've heard of him.
No,
how did he change your understanding of the character, and what makes that character tick?
I can't say he changed my understanding, and also I don't really remember what my understanding was of the character, but he, like David, was a product of that world. He went to Choate as a high school student, and then to Yale, as did David. And Paul was able to tell me, I know how to play this guy because I knew these guys, and I knew this fellow. So I just kind of let him do it. And there are certain actors, most of them, you think, oh God, I hope he or she can do it. I don't have to get rough with them, that they're gonna. And Paul is someone like, Meryl Streep or Laurence Olivier, and you cast that actor in that part because you're curious to see what they're going to do with it. And just see, he can do it a little bit this way or a little bit that way, but no matter what it is, it's going to be awesome. And that's a great joy in working with Paul. is to see a great artist and actor just do his thing. I'm always happiest with actors to whom I don't have to say anything. And he is that. Or if I do say something between takes, it's basically monosyllables or gestures, because we have a good kind of shared understanding of things.
Having witnessed that was kind of amazing to watch Alexander and Paul communicate, because the take would go down and AP would just walk over and go, a little more of that, yeah. Could you not? Uh-huh. And with your head, and then the thing, yes. And you're feeling right. It's raining, but it's not raining. Got it. Okay, good. And
It usually wasn't that long.
it really wasn't that long. It was sort of like, and these adjustments would occur from take to take. And I think one of my favorite shots in the entire film, and it's emblematic of how brilliant Paul is that shot after the whole "My Father's Dead" scene, and they go home, and it's just that shot you have from overhead when he's lying in bed, staring at the camera before he jumps up and goes out and gets the Christmas tree. There's about 6 emotions that cross his face. You see his thought process, and I think that's a unique. I mean, his gift is remarkable, and I think the two of them together, like the fact that Alexander's able to get that from him, is a wonderful thing, and it anchors the entire film.
Movie lovers everywhere are so excited that the two of them are reunited. And Alexander, did you feel as though no time had passed between this filming and Sideways, or did you feel like you had to ramp up again?
Not ramping up, but both simultaneously. It was like, what's taking us so long? And, we just worked together yesterday. That feeling you have with good friends, good collaborators. Like, what's taking so long? Jesus. And it's just a direct continuation of what we were doing 20 years ago on Sideways.
Let's keep going and talk about Dominic Sessa.